Oh, hey. Oh my God. I didn't even realize I was live. Hi, guys. This is how my life works. I don't know how long I've been on here, but I'm actually, I'm lighting a fire. I'm lighting a healing fire for all of us this morning. Yeah, I had no idea I was live. So I'm Emma Smallbone. I'm a forest whisperer, and I heal in my ancestors' traditions. I use fire to communicate with the forest and the mycelium in my forest. The mycelium and my forest speak to me through my daily walks in the forest, through my work in the forest. I live in a forest. I manage a forest. So we're out on the trails almost or I say we, me and my dog, Freya, are out on the trails every single day. And today, I need to light a healing fire. I need to light a healing fire. You know when you get those phone calls? I keep getting phone calls from the Yellow Pages. Why would I pick up the Yellow Pages? I have friggin' mycelium to communicate my message to the world. I don't need the Yellow Pages to do it for me. I literally light fires. Oh, check out my dog. This is when I know I'm in a good place energy-wise. My dog becomes a magnet. Like, she literally needs my calming energy to be calm. Our animals, if you didn't know, are actually a barometer. So I know when my dog is acting all cuckoo. Oh my gosh, I can't talk this morning. I haven't slept, just so you know. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I've got to get my fire started here. So I burn fires in my forest. I burn fires in cauldrons. I burn fires in mugs. I burn fires in a pipe. But today, I light these healing fires for you. I light these healing fires for me. I light these healing fires for my community. And I light these healing fires for my ancestors. I light these healing fires. I light these healing fires. I light these healing fires for you. And I light these healing fires for me. And in co-creation, we heal together. So as I light these healing fires, I pay attention to what's coming up in the flames. How long does it take? And I'll tell you, last night, I was here teaching my forest whispering class, and it was beyond magical because it ended up being some of the most important people to me in my life, and people that have continually showed up for me and continually reflected back to me what I needed to see in the world. And sometimes those people have been some of the most challenging people in my life, but they've remained. And sometimes I've pushed their buttons and sometimes they've pushed my buttons, but they've remained. And we were always drawn to each other and we didn't know why. And last night, around the fire, there was some really deep sharing happening. And this is why I need to talk about these things. Our ancestors used to sit around fires. Every single one of us. There is not anybody on this planet that didn't sit around a fire. If your ancestors didn't sit around a fire, then they're probably not here, right? Because they couldn't stay warm. I mean, hey, if you're from somewhere that doesn't need fires, congratulations. I don't live there. I live in the woods of Canada. We need fires. So I have to light a fire pretty much every single day in the winter. Well, not this year, probably so much. We didn't get as much wood this year. I don't think it's going to be as hot. Or sorry, I don't think it's going to be as cold this year. But I've been wrong previously. I don't always get the timelines right. Because timelines are always shifting and our magic is always changing and our lives are always shifting. And depending on where you are at in your journey and what lessons you need to learn, you may be not ready to sit around a fire. And you may not be ready to heal in the ways that I heal. And if nothing that I am saying resonates with you, then this isn't for you. But if you're listening to what I'm saying and you're like, yeah, like I'm not healing in these traditional ways, and I'm not finding truth in spirituality. And now I'm kicking you. But I know there's something else out there. And I know there is something more for me. And you've continued to seek and you've continued to try to find the truth in whatever you can. And you keep throwing spaghetti at a wall and you keep seeking and you keep looking for the answer. And you're not finding it because the answer isn't out there somewhere. The answer isn't in a book. The answer isn't, okay, I just had my lighter. I do this all the time. The answer isn't in a book. It's inside of you. And I never understood what people in the spiritual community were saying when they said that, because I am a logical thinker and I need to see a problem and a solution from beginning to end. And I need to do that myself to figure it out. That is my joy. That's my autistic joy. I went live, I'll upload the live here too. But I went live on Instagram the other day right after I had an autistic joy high, like super high, because I got to talk to an arborist about biochar. And I've never allowed myself the space to admit that I actually know a lot about trees. I never gave myself the room or the courage to say, hey, I can tell you why biochar helps trees, and I can explain to you how biochar works and why that it actually is carbon capture and not putting off carbon. Like, it's not off-gassing. It's capturing carbon in the soil. And it's making a home for lovely things in the, why is my brain, biorhizome? I doubted myself there for a second. I'm tired, and this is what happens when I'm tired. I doubt my own thoughts, and then it doesn't flow as much. So because I haven't slept much, today I have to sleep, because if I don't sleep, I am not going to be able to regulate myself. And if I can't regulate myself, I'm not going to be a good parent. And if I can't be a good parent, then I'm not a good wife. And if I'm not a good wife, I'm not a good, well, I don't even want to say that. But I don't feel good about myself if I can't do the things that make me feel good, which is providing food and sustenance and a stable home for my family. I love doing that for my family. I love bringing them joy and happiness and the things that they love. And when I actually realized that that's what I was looking for, that I could actually provide that for my family, that if I could get out of my traumatized mind, that primitive mind, that space of always being in fight or flight, and that I could learn how to do things to calm myself, like light my fires. And honestly, I started lighting healing fires because I didn't know what else to do. I lost myself. When COVID hit, I lost all of my sense of self, because all of my sense of self was in my business. And I was told my whole entire life, you are what you do. And it's like the first question we ask people is, what do you do? Not who are you, not what do you like, not like, we don't ask any of those questions. We ask people, what do you do? And we expect people to lead with that. And that's teaching society that the only thing that matters is what you do. And I have had to spend, sorry, I'm gonna have to move this off. So bear with me while I move all of this, while I move my autistic safety pile. Do you want to see my tism puddle? I've got my mushroom. I've got, I think my drum's back there. I've got my dog and my soft blanket. I have my cauldron and my books and my rattle. Can you see all of that? Yeah. So this is what I do. It's called like making a nest. This is what I do to keep myself safe, because I was traumatized at such a young age, because if you didn't know, all divergents that go undiagnosed, and actually even all just divergence, if you don't learn how to regulate your nervous system and you're not given the tools that you need, because we actually didn't know that we needed them. If you aren't given those tools, how do you know how to take care of yourself? So like, I'm realizing I wasn't taught any of the tools I need to survive, because I left home so early. I never actually made it to that level of life skills. Here you go, Emma, this is what you do to da 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 da, or this is what you do to da 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 da. When you're learning all of that stuff, I was living on my own in an apartment, working full time and going to high school. And I didn't know that that wasn't normal. I thought that I was just an incredibly strong person, and that I was mature for my age, and that I was more than capable at 16, 17. I don't remember the exact dates. I have all the journals. That's been fun to go back through. But at around 16, 17, my soul felt abandoned. Because on a Friday night, when I was 16, 17, my parents, and they will tell you, this is what they will tell you, it was your choice. You decided. There's nothing I could do to keep you at home. Could have made me feel safe. I don't know. I don't know. That's a generational trauma thing because my kid tried to run away from home. Not really successfully. He's the low effort run away from home like I am. Just like you pack the bag, you make all the intentions, and then you like make it halfway down the road and you go, yeah, no, this isn't for me. It was never, I mean, obviously I left my home and I did really run, that was me running away from home, but my parents actually drove me to the place that I was running away from them. Oh boy. So when you actually do the real hard work, and how this all happened for me was at the beginning of the pandemic when my life completely came apart and I didn't have routine anymore. And I didn't have that stability, and I didn't have that thing that I thought society needed me to be, which was a business owner. And I thought society needed me to be, you know, this wisdom keeper in a very specific way, because that's what social media was showing me, and that's what the world was showing me a spiritual wisdom keeper looked like. And I didn't know any different because I had never been shown anything else, and I was doing this all on my own. I was seeking out the answers my entire life. I have been seeking these answers my entire life. And when I go back and I read my journal, the pages, I didn't bring them out here now because it's a lot, man. But when I go back and I read a post from 12-year-old Emma that says in 19, I think it's 19, no, that wouldn't have been right. It would have been like, well, maybe it was 1989. No, that's not right. I was 12. Whenever I would have been 12, I can't do math. See, this is me not being able to, because I have dyscalculia. Don't pay me. Go on my Amazon list and buy me something that I can actually use. Because this one doesn't know how to do numbers. So money and numbers do not make sense to me. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I can't manage it. It's not, I can. When I am regulated, I can manage money. When I am regulated, there's so many things I can do. But to do that, I have to light healing fires for my community. And to do that, I need the freedom to have a fire whenever I need to have a fire. And I need to sit in the woods whenever I need to sit in the woods. And I will tell you, in a typical world, this is not normal. Building a fire when I was, I'm trying to remember, 6 years old, in a construction site, because I needed to feel safe, because I didn't. And I got in trouble for lighting fires to make hot dogs so I could eat them because our diet was restricted. Exclamation point. So when I look at all of those things and I sit around a fire with other women, other people that have experienced similar things, and we talk about what that feels like in our bodies, and we talk about things that have helped us heal, things that have helped us in times when we're hurting. I need to raise this up. Hang on. I've got it. I always like to call myself. Oh, I forgot to add this into the pile. There was a sticker by the fire this morning that said polarized. And I think it's so funny because I really do feel like almost that's where we're sitting right now, in this very polarized, you're wrong, I'm right, you know, who's gonna win kind of world. And that's not what we need at all right now. What we actually need is community. And we need to be able to sit across the fire from people who have differing opinions than us, that push us to heal in ways that maybe we don't even know are available to us. Maybe we don't even know that it's possible for us to heal in those ways because nobody ever showed us how to do it. Because I will tell you, my ancestors healed this way. I know it so to my core, I can't even tell you. Because the more that I do this, the more that I heal, right? I just don't want to melt. I'm like, oh, hang on, I have the perfect thing. This is something I'm learning. If it's the right time to do ritual, you always have exactly what you need. Hang on. I'm gonna have to take my pants off. Freya, come on. Freya.
You alright?
What's that?
Mom okay?
Oh yeah, she's great. She loves everybody. She's just showing you that she can protect the house.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Yeah. You want to take this for me? Give that a smell. Are you Emma?
Yeah, I am Emma.
No. You smell my doggy? Oh, good job.
She'll only jump if you let her jump.
Oh, yeah.
If you ignore her, she won't jump.
Just need a signature.
Sure. I'm sitting out here trying to soak up all the sun before it goes away.
I don't blame you. Here you are.
Thank you. You too. Hey Freya, come on. I will also tell you, the old me wouldn't have been able to sit here without moving and jumping up and being like, oh God, yes, and explain what I was doing here. Because the old me needed to explain everything. Because I didn't feel worthy of the gifts that I had. And I didn't feel like I knew enough. I didn't feel like I had enough wisdom to share. I didn't feel like I was doing what I thought I was doing. And it wasn't until I went to the woods and started actually doing it every single day in the woods for the last, what would I say, how many years has it been? Well, I would say solidly being in the woods every single day for probably 3 years. So when I stopped social media and decided that it was so toxic for me that I just couldn't be there anymore, I just did a complete and utter reset. And that's how I ended up finding my true path, and the one that is allowing me to fully embrace my divergent self, to fully embrace who I am and what I do, and not have to explain it anymore and just say, this is what I do. I heal in my ancestors' traditions, and I heal with smoke and flames and energy and my forest and my dog. So if you ever come for a healing session here, it's all going to be part of it. It's not something that I trained to do. It's not something that I learned from a book. It is ancestral wisdom that I downloaded while I was in the forest. And all of this knowledge I've been learning my entire life. So all of these things that I was hoping to learn were actually in here. But I couldn't unlock it until I actually did the deep healing of shadow work. I actually did the deep healing of getting to know who I am for real. And the shit end of the stick with late diagnosis neurodivergence is you've been traumatized your entire life. Whether you had a good life, whether you had perfect parents or not, there are parts of my family that I absolutely adored. And if we hadn't come to Canada, I would not be sitting in this forest. I would not have learned how to heal with these trees. I wouldn't have my familiar Freya. I wouldn't have the house of my dreams in a forest in Canada if my parents hadn't made bad choices. But it also caused a lot of trauma for me as an autistic child, being removed from everything that she felt safe with, everything that she knew. And my parents had this tendency of just starting over again. If they got in a fight or they stopped talking to somebody, that meant they were gone out of our lives. Because I truly do believe my parents are divergent. I don't know if I'll ever get them to well, my dad is on the other side, and I know he knows that I'm right because I've heard him say, you're right. But also, that just wasn't something that we knew about then. My parents couldn't have possibly known that I was divergent or they were divergent because it wasn't available to us. So I do not begrudge anybody for not knowing that I was divergent. And I do not begrudge anybody that it caused me trauma. But what I now have to do is tell my story, because my ancestors worked in oral traditions. They sat around a fire and they healed each other with stories. And I will tell you that somewhere in your ancestry, your ancestors sat around a fire and they told stories. And I bet you don't even have to go that far back to find it. I bet you when you were a kid, you sat around a fire and you told ghost stories and you talked with your, and you may even, there may be some of you that are like, yeah, man, I'm doing that now. That's what I do with my family. Good for you. That's awesome. But there are many of us that didn't get that opportunity, and that I recreated that in my own family because I was so traumatized as a kid by my childhood that I actually didn't want to have children. And 10 years into my relationship with my partner, the lumberjack, I realized, holy shit, if I don't have a child, whatever this magic is, whatever, even though at the time I didn't understand it, I thought it can't stop with me. And I know now that that actually meant I do not want the trauma to stop. Or sorry, I do not want the trauma to go unhealed, is what I was trying to say. I don't want to leave that to be my family story. I want more for my family. Whether they care to believe it or not, I want the best for my family, and I want all of us to heal. But you can't heal anybody else. I can make space. That's what I do. This is what I do for my community. I make space for my community to heal. Whether they show up is a whole other thing. But when you're a community healer, you don't actually need your community to show up, because just by holding the space, you're doing the work. And just by me doing this work, I'm healing me. This is the modern shadow work. This is the ancient way to heal modern problems. I want to show you how to rewild yourself. I want to share with you what I did in the last 5 years in the woods of Canada as a wildling. There's gonna be so many books, my friends, so many books. I have so much to say on this subject matter, and I have so much to say about my own personal journey. I have so much to say about how we look at divergent thinkers. I have so much to say, oh dear Lord, about so many things. And that's why I'm going to be starting a podcast with my friend Nagme. And you may start to see me drag her into these conversations soon. We may do some like fireside chats or something, just to get a practice. And I'm gonna show Nagme what I did the last 5 years. And we're gonna record the whole entire thing. And you're gonna watch as Nagme counsels me, because she's got a background in counseling and psychology. And we're going to work through all of these pieces, and I'm gonna show you what worked for me, and Nagme's gonna give you some psychological tips and tricks and all of these things. And it's going to be balanced. And sometimes we may disagree. And sometimes I may say things that totally friggin' irk you. Oh, you guys are gonna be friggin' stubborn. So how like fire works, and this is how I kind of started to realize how important my work is, because I had a firefighter at my fire last night, and my fire skills were driving her crazy. And not because I can't light a fire, but she kept trying to disprove with science or like with logic what was going on with my fire. And I said, just wait. Let me explain something. And then it allowed me to actually explain what I do in a way that made sense. And I'd never been able to do that before. So thank you, Shannon, for pushing my buttons. I pushed them right back. And that's what we need to do. I sat around a fire with 3 of the most triggering, loving, beautiful, delicate, powerful women that I have ever met. And some of them have been in my life for a very long time, and some of them have been in my life for not as long. But to me, they are all equal. To me, they are so important because in their journeys, they reflected back to me what I needed to learn. And sometimes we did it with grace, and sometimes I haven't always done things with grace. So if you're just new to this channel, I'm Emma Smallbone. I'm a forest whisperer, and I heal in my ancestors' traditions. I'm from England, and our lineage is Saxon, or some people like to call themselves the Vikings. And that blended with some other lineages in England. One of them I got burned by very hard, and is why one of my social media traumas is people telling me I'm not what I am. I've had so many people come on my feed and like want to tear me down and tell me I'm not what I am. I don't know how you can do that exactly because I know who I am. But before I started healing, I would take it so badly and I would say, I'll prove to you what I am. And I would like try to throw all the spaghetti at the wall and hope something would stick and hope I would change their opinion. And now I couldn't care less. And now when people push back, I don't get upset. I go, what are you doing there? Like, this is what I said to my friend. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to snuff out my fire, man? If you stick around here for a while, you're gonna hear a shit ton of references to fire. I'm gonna talk about your embers. I'm gonna talk about your flames. I'm gonna talk about your fuel. I'm gonna talk about the oxygen that you need, literally, to start a fire, but also figuratively. We literally need to breathe oxygen into our bodies. We need to feed our brains so our brains can fire. We need to take deep breaths so we get enough oxygen to our brains so we can think right, so we can do the things. There's so many things in my life that relate to fire. It's crazy. And last night when I was sitting by the fire, after we had sat in ritual and we had shared so much, and I could see these beautiful women before me, and we embraced and we held each other and we told each other we loved each other and we cried. Everybody left. And I was sitting by the fire by myself, and I was looking at the moon, and I was asking, like, why fire? Why fire? Why is it fire? And I remembered one of my very first memories, or one that I think I can remember. I love that my mother loves to tell me that the only reason I remember this memory is because she told me about it. Thanks, Mom, for ruining any form of magic in my life in that way. But one of my favorite memories is we're in England and it's Guy Fawkes night. And we put potatoes on the fire You know how you put them in the ashes? Have you ever had baked potatoes in the ashes of your fire? So good. But here's the thing. I never realized that that is why fire feels so good to me and has my entire life, because it literally warms my soul. Because some of my favorite memories as a child on the land that I remember connecting with when I was 2, a tree in List Forest, which I went back to just before COVID. And I gave that tree a gift. And I prayed at that tree. And I thanked that tree for reminding me to come back to who I was. And that was the moment that I started to heal so deeply. When I went back to my ancestral lands. And I reconnected with a tree that I gave my soul to as a kid. And I gave my pain to as a kid. And the reason that I felt so connected to England and why I was so angry my whole entire childhood that we came here was because I was forced to leave my tree. And for people that don't understand that connection, I know you can't get it. But my connection to trees is like something I can't explain. And I've never been able to explain it, and I don't need to anymore. Because I can just sit in my forest and heal. The way I need to heal with the people I love and the people that love me. And that's the way it should be. And now every morning I sit here with my puppy and my fire. And I light these healing fires in gratitude for my community that stood by me for so long. I light these healing fires for my friends that stood behind me and beside me through the thick and thin, and that watched me evolve for a decade. If you want to watch the journey, if you want to watch this evolve, just go back. Go to my Instagram at Emma Smallbone and go back to 2017. Well, actually, you can go back further and watch me as a photographer too if you want. But when they say you're an old soul, it's not, I I don't even know how to explain it. You're an old soul because you have a connection to a wisdom that you don't quite yet understand. And you're seeking. You're an old soul seeking. And you're hoping to find, gotta make sure I don't get resin on my husband's. Oh, I might have to put it out in the sun. Hey, Freya, I'm feeling comfy and cozy. So, I'm lighting these healing fires for you, and I'm lighting these healing fires for me. I'm lighting these healing fires for my community. I'm lighting these healing fires for my ancestors. I'm lighting these healing fires. If you want to see the transformation between download and integration, go back and watch my healing fire videos on Instagram I'll repost them. And I'll show you what a download looks like. And it makes no sense, and it's incongruent, and it sounds like gobbledygook, and I'm just rambling really quickly. The download is only the beginning. Training to become a psilocybin facilitator taught me how to integrate the information that I download. That was the final piece of the puzzle for me, was actually learning from beginning to end how to take that information and integrate it into my life. And that's what I want to help you guys do. I want to help you learn, because I can teach you what I did. I can share with you what I've done, and I'm going to share a whole bunch of stuff. But it's about what you do with the information once you have it. I always thought that information was enough, and then if I just threw enough shit at the wall, something would work. But when you actually just learn how to be, and when you actually just learn how to sit still, and then you learn how to listen to the whispers and sit with them and reflect on them, and you start to slowly ask yourself deeper and deeper questions, and you start to ponder bigger and bigger questions, and the seeking eventually almost drives you crazy, and it almost drove me crazy. You can watch it play out. I have video footage of all of it. I even have rituals of me naked in the woods doing this stuff. And I still do that stuff. But I don't need to share it with the world for you to understand it. I don't need to prove I know how to do magic to you to make what I do valid. I just have to do what I do. I just need to show up, share who I am, share my real truth, and it's coming. I'm still integrating some lessons. There's still some healing to be done. I need to make myself feel even safer. I need to set some more boundaries. I need to limit some relationships. I need to allow myself to be okay with everybody not being okay with me. That one's still really hard for me. But when you've never been okay with anybody and you've never felt safe with anybody, it's really hard to understand what safe is. I didn't know what safe was. And when you realize that you don't know what safe is, what's up, Frey? When you realize you don't know what safe is, and then you realize that your body disassociates you from pain, you start to realize that there may be something bigger going on, that there may be something deep down. Here, let me move this out of the way so I'm not just a giant thing of smoke. But see how it's smoldering? Because I now need to spread this smoke out into the world. I'm gonna put valerian on the fire to give us some ease, to allow us to slow down, to calm ourselves. Oh God, valerian stinks. This is one thing about working with some of these herbs. Does anybody else think valerian smells like vomit? It's pretty vomitous. And what have I got? We don't need hops. We've got enough luck on our side. I no longer need luck because I know I created my web. We need some mullein to clear our lungs of the grief that we've been feeling for so long. Mullein is actually really great. You can smoke it and really actually get gunk out of your lungs. I should probably take my, I'm gonna put this aside and I'm gonna roll a cigarette with that later because I'm grieving a life that I didn't get to live. And that's a quite common piece with late diagnosed autistics is we go through a massive grieving period. And I had to do that in a safe place. And my family, for a while, didn't feel safe. Still kind of doesn't feel safe. I still need to have some conversations. But it's more about me. It has nothing to do with my family. I mean, yes, there are some things that we need to talk about. I'm gonna put some slumber in there. This one's from Honor the Temple, Jassy. Some beautiful herbs. I'm wishing us rest, that may we sleep deeply, so that our brains may rest, so that we may heal, so that we may be able to do this work. So you can actually use this as a tea, and it has lavender, chamomile, hops, and rose. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you're not rested, and you feel like you need to go into a deep slumber to heal your brain, lavender, chamomile, hops, and rose are for you. So, what are we, oh, do I have any of this left? No. I need to make some more incense, my Thor incense. This is one of the things that I absolutely loved making when I had my shop. And you'll actually see in my shorts, there's a video. My incenses and my essential oils are where some of my magic can be shared. Some of my healing can be shared because my healing energy goes into those potions, goes into those incenses, and then you can light a ritual fire and you can burn some of the incenses that I burn in my rituals. Not that you need to do exactly what I do, but it helps when I can explain to you what these things do. So yarrow has been showing up like crazy in my forest and in my peripheries. Every single time I go to look for an herb, it's like yarrow. Every single time. Do you know what yarrow is? Anyone? Anyone in the comments? Anyone out there? Know why we're being called to yarrow at this time? That why yarrow is coming into our consciousness? That why it's showing up in my fields? Because this is actually from hagswag.ca. I don't know if they're still around. I really enjoyed their boxes. I actually created one of the very first witchy subscription boxes, and Hagswag was one of the only ones that I would recommend. So if they're still around and you're into witchy shit, they actually produce really good stuff in their boxes. So that's what was it again? Hagswag. I'll link to it in the bio below. I'll link to a whole bunch of stuff. I'll link to where I get my herbs from and where I get like teas and all of that stuff from. Because here's the thing. Our new economy, how we're gonna survive, and I don't know if you're in the same circles that I roll in, but how we're gonna survive through all of this, because there is a disruption to the economy coming that is going to harm people, because 2 years after the slowdown of a pandemic, there is always a recession. If you didn't already know, and you live in Canada, we are in a recession. And this is where my autistic brain picks up all the pattern recognition and explains to you what is going to happen on this planet in the next couple of years. So we need to do an immense amount of shadow work as a society, because we have been living in a forced patriarchy for 150 years. North America was colonized by not my ancestors, because we stayed in England, but by some of our ancestors. And the energy of this land has been so desecrated and so manipulated by colonization that the energy has lost its way. It's like Tinkerbell. If you don't believe, she dies. If you don't believe magic exists, it dies. If people don't believe there's magic in the land, it goes to sleep. And what I have been told to do is wake up my people and let them know that you need to start crafting a relationship with nature. That you need to create a reciprocal relationship with nature. However you do that. Yes, I know I live in a forest. Yes, I know I'm privileged. Yes, I know my ancestors and my husband's ancestors stole the land that we are living on. And it's why I am choosing to educate in this way. And I am choosing to only learn, where's my book? From this point on, from Indigenous teachers. My Indigenous teachers even, right? My ancestors, but also the land where I lived's ancestors. Asha is one of the most beautiful people. And her work in this book will be life-changing if you pick it up. If you start listening to you, you are the medicine. I took a course halfway through COVID called Your Truth is Your Medicine by Yana Robinson. And it was a year-long container. And I learned so much in that group. It was one of the most powerful experiences I ever had to watch other people heal in community. And that's when I realized that I really had to start rethinking the way that door slam. I had to rethink the way that I was doing things because my community wasn't healing me. And I thought I was healing my community. I thought I was doing the work. I thought I was doing all of the right things because what was modeled to me was, where is it? Hey, check out this tarot deck. It's Chris Ann's. You should buy it. It's so amazing. This is the greatest deck. Let me go through. And actually, I have a deck review. One of I think it's the Light Seers. Chris Ann is a very good friend of mine, by the way. And this is somebody that I will always lift up and promote because Chris Ann is one of the purest souls that I know. And I will always say I love her decks because they're friggin' awesome. But I used to do this in a way that everybody else did it. And then I learned how to teach tarot in a way with a system that helps people understand the numerology and the suits of the deck. And I taught people a system on how to read tarot that made sense to me. And then it made sense to a whole bunch of people. And then I realized, holy cow, that's kind of my special talent. I can take a huge amount of information, which is it 78 card? I can never remember the number. Numbers. I can remember a huge amount of information, but then I can boil it down to simple things because my brain needs simple ways to remember things because it already has some issues. I have 12% working memory and I have less than 1% executive function. Those two things together make my life a living hell. And my whole entire life, I have had to create hacks and tips and tricks for myself to remember things, to keep myself safe, to look normal, to not act weird, to not share what was in my head because it scares people. How's that feel? How does it feel to know what's coming? And to see all the options? And to not know that I could actually change my options. I didn't realize that I actually had control of my timeline. I didn't realize that ultimately you are your own medicine. Your truth is your medicine. And the truth is inside you. You are the key. Nobody else can give you the answers. nobody else can give you the magic combination of what you have to do. But I'm going to start to show you what I did. And hopefully, through our healing fires together, we will heal in community, in circle. And I want you guys to take what you learn here on this channel, and I want you to share it with people. And if you learn something from this that impacts your life in a significant way, or not even a significant way, if I teach you one tidbit of information, ow, the cauldron spot, I didn't used to be able to feel that. If you get one tidbit of information from me that helps you live a better life every day, or gives you a better mindset so that you can cope a little bit better, then check out the links below. You can book a one-on-one session with me. I only do one a week, and it's my busy season, so I don't know how much room there is left, because for me, this is when I come alive. This is when I start to heal. This is when I want to be in the woods. This is when people want to be in the woods. And the dark season, the shedding season is coming. And people want to let go of what no longer serves them, and they want to feel better about themselves. And we start to slow down because winter's coming, and we start to just be, and we sit with ourselves a little bit more. And just like the trees, we let go. So I start to get busy around this season. So one of the things that I have to do is start to take care of myself better. I need to ask for accommodations. I need to ask my friends for help. I need to ask you guys for help. I sometimes can't get out of the house because my brain tries to convince me that I don't have enough time to get to the store and get back to the house to I have such severe time blindness, it's ridiculous. And no matter how scheduled I feel, I always feel like there's not enough time. So I'm constantly having to remind myself that I have more than enough time. And that's one of my mantras. I go all day, every day. I have more than enough time. I don't need to go into battle. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to thrive. And I'm here to just be. And I know not everybody can live the life that I'm living. I actually have massive gratitude for the life that I am finally getting to live, and that I wouldn't have been able to live this life if I didn't have a traumatic life. This is the crazy part of all of it. I wouldn't be here talking to you about these things. I wouldn't have healed myself. I wouldn't have had this amount of clarity in my life if I hadn't done the work and I hadn't chased these things. And I had so many people tell me, Emma, let it go. Emma, just put it down, walk away, and let it go. And I was like, no, man. This keeps happening to me. What is this friggin' pattern? And I kept asking people, and people are like, no, I don't know, man. It's just weird that people keep doing that to you, that these things keep showing up for you. Yeah, it is, because I actually keep attracting them. Because I don't set strong enough boundaries, and I don't tell people what I need from them, and I don't hold people accountable. So that's gonna change. And I'm gonna hold a lot of people accountable for their actions. I've got some big fights coming And I think I've got some really big healing coming too. And I'm going to share all of it with you guys, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to reflect on it, because when we sit around a fire and we integrate our healing and we sit with it and we grieve it and we work through it and we feel it, and then we start to feel the pain that our body has been holding on to. And for me, for the past 46 years, well, I've been alive for 48, but I think it all started when I was 2.5. When I was removed from my ancestral lands. It's why I've always connected deeply with Indigenous teachings. It's why I have always connected so deeply with Indigenous teachings, Indigenous medicine, Indigenous, all of it, because I was taken from my Indigenous lands, and I feel that pain in my soul because I'm an ancestral healer and I heal in my ancestral ways. And I bound myself to a tree when I was 2. And I reactivated that connection when I went back to England the last time with my son. And I've been healing ever since then. So I'm going to share it all with you, and I'm going to show you the entire journey, and you can go back and you can watch all of my videos on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm going to post a whole bunch of, there are a whole bunch hidden right now because there are some of them that I have to explain. There are some of them that I can actually show you what spiritual psychosis looks like because I literally went through it. I can show you so many things that are happening to me as it's happening because I'm going to be able to go back and go through those videos and go, see this right here? This is me being traumatized. Or, hey, do you see this right here, what I'm talking about? This is actually trauma. Or say, hey, look at this. And I can teach you through my own experience in ways that have never been seen before because nobody's done it this way. I had to seek this out. I had to find all of these pieces and I had to put them together. And this isn't going to work for everybody. I'm an ancestral healer in my ancestral traditions. I'm a tree whisperer. I talk to the mycelium. And I use tarot and oracle and divination with fire and smoke to heal myself and to heal my community. If any of that resonates with you, you're in the right place. And keep watching my videos because you might learn something. But if it doesn't resonate, that's fine. I don't need you to get it. I don't need you to understand it. I don't even need you to like this video if you don't like it. But if you do like it, please like this video. And if you got something from this video, maybe buy something off my wish list, or maybe send me a PayPal donation. Because that's the way that I choose to live divergently in a modern world. Is I'm choosing to live outside the system because it's a system that wasn't built for me. So come and learn how to live divergently in thewildhealing.com, and I will share with you for free what I have learned these past 5 years. This was a really long video. But this is what people whose ancestors spoke in oral traditions are supposed to do. My ancestors were the Druids. divined in ways that we are yet to understand. So follow along if you want to learn more, because I love info dumping this shit. And you are going to learn a fuck ton about magic and trauma and being divergent, because those are the things that I love to info dump about. And I love to talk about trees and nature and how it can heal us. So stay around. Subscribe, like this video. Do whatever, man. Do whatever. Go be wild, wildlings. Love you all.